Hey, this is Heather with Manifesting Naturally. So glad to finally have this YouTube channel going. Really excited to have you here. We are going to talk about law of assumption and manifesting. It is a lifestyle, right? It is fantastic. It is life-changing. I'm so excited about it. I could talk about it all the time, and I do. And we're going to learn, and we're going to level the fuck up, and we're going to do some mystical, magical shit up in here, too. Just like my favorite mystic, Neville Goddard, my most favorite reindeer of all. So, you know what? Please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification, because we're going to do lives up here. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. And you manifested me, so you kind of have to. Okay, so we are back. And as I said, this is a powerful little book. I've read chapter 1 through 4 of I Know My Father by Neville Goddard. I gave commentary. It is one of his easiest to understand because it talks about God and I and my Father are one, but it mainly focuses on awareness, subjective awareness, which is the Father, so to speak, and our awareness, what our attention is on, that subjective awareness goes up. Okay, that's what you're conscious of. If we're conscious of that, then that's what we must be. And the more we focus, the more we stay conscious about that thing that we are aware of, good, bad, or indifferent, it is going to immediately start to mold. And then it will harden into fact. That's why it doesn't matter if the assumption is false. So again, I've said, leverage that. So many people say, oh, I have a hard time believing it. I have a hard time believing that I'm a millionaire. Yeah, that's okay. Is it false? Are you persisting in a false assumption? Then guess what? It's going to harden into fact. It's like your guarantee. Get creative. So most of these chapters are barely chapters. They are essentially a paragraph or two. So I am going to wrap this up and read through this, give a little commentary where I think it needs. If you've been listening to chapter 1 through 4, it's repetitive. I've talked about it. Gives the exact recipe to manifest. Now you just have to practice your instrument, which is your mind. So this is chapter 5, and it's called He Who Has. Ready? For he that hath, to him shall be given, and to he that hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he hath. Though many look upon this statement to be the most cruel and unjust of sayings attributed to Jesus, creating, as it has the world over, the many popular remarks such as, the rich get richer and the poor get children. I love that line. The rich get richer and the poor get screwed. He who has gets, it still remains the most just and merciful law based upon a changeless principle. What are you aware of? You are going to get more of it. Even if it whines that you're poor, and in order to be more poor, you're going to have more mouths to feed. God is no respecter of persons. God, as we have discovered, is that unconditioned awareness who gives to each and all that which they are aware of being. To be aware of being or having anything is to be or have that which you are aware of being. Sound a tongue twister. To be aware of being or having anything is to be or have that which you're aware of being. That's how it works. Upon this changeless principle, all things rest. It is impossible for anything to be other than that which it is aware of being. Right? It can't be an apple seed and turn into an orange. It's not going to happen. It does not matter what it is that you are aware of being. You will receive pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So that's really exciting. If you're aware of being and you're persisting in your assumptions of that which you already are, because you can imagine it right now. And we know that there is only eternal now. If you're thinking of the past, you're doing it now. If you're thinking of the future, you're doing it now. Right? So if you're in that place where you are like, no, this is who I am now. This is my self-concept now. I decided. And you're not worried about what's around you. The other saying that we all have a strong belief in, because we've all heard it, is the only thing that doesn't change is change. Right? So shit's gonna change. You just have to hang in there. And that's where faith comes. And that's why you want to understand the teachings of Neville and not just be out there. It's repeating back words you don't get or grasp or know what it means. So pressed down, shaking together, and running over means you're getting more. That's why you're getting kids. So all that you are, of all that you are conscious of being, in keeping with this same changeless law, to him that hath not, it shall be taken from and added to the one that hath. So the rich do get richer and the poor do get poorer. Yes, he who has gets. You're not imagining it. It's really the way it works. Why? Because if I'm already wealthy, I'm aware of being wealthy. I don't care. I'm not thinking about money. That's just the way I am. So money's going to keep coming. It's just a state of mind. It's a state of mind of being aware of abundance. Like in the last chapter, right? She didn't say she had 0 measures, even though she only had 3 drops. She acknowledged what she had. And it was a gusher, right? But if she would have said, I have no measures, then she would have got more of nothing. So you cannot express. And you know what that means? We're not attracting. We're not creating. That's what everyone is you push out. We are expressing. It is an expression of what we're conscious of being. It is going to be pushed out of us by being expressed out of us, returned back to us in some personification of whatever that means, right? No one can, that's why there's no one or no thing to give you anything. There is nothing outside of you. There is no outside. We are living in imagination. We are imagining our world. It's a shadow. It's an extension, but it's not in control. It's not going to walk away. It has no power by itself. So you cannot express that which you are not conscious of being. You cannot serve 2 masters. Your master is ever the state of consciousness in which you are identified. That's what I mean by the state. And the state holds a trait. What does that mean? You are God. You are unconditioned consciousness. And the desires you have to get out of a state of mind, to not be broke, to not be sick, to not be single, to not be whatever, that's a desire for you to ascend. That's God saying, I'm ready to go. When you do, because you switch your state of mind and God just occupies that state, those thoughts come with that state of mind. So they're going to be expressed. All right, that's why we don't judge states. People fall in and out of them. So you cannot serve 2 masters. Your master is ever that state of consciousness with which you are identified. Therefore, that which is not in consciousness is taken from it because it was never part of it. And it's added to the consciousness which it is aware of. All things gravitate to that consciousness with which they are in tune. And likewise, all things disentangle themselves from that consciousness in which they are not in tune. So instead of joining the chorus of the have-nots who insist on destroying those who have, recognize this changeless law of expression and consciously claim yourself to be that which you have decided to be. Your self-concept is a decision. It is a moment-by-moment decision. This is who I am. This is who I am. I will not take no for an answer. This is who I am. That's where brazen impudence comes in. This is who I am. I don't care. Neville says, I don't care about the 3D world. I don't even want to call it 3D world. It's a realm. We're creating in the 4D. That's reality in your mind. This is a realm, a dreamland. Land of the Dead calls it a million different things, but everything comes here to die. So we want to join the chorus of those who are claiming themselves to be that which they have decided to be. After your decision is made and your conscious claim is established, you continue in your confidence until you receive your reward. That is otherwise known as persisting until it hardens into fact. Staying in character. Your character, you've chosen the role, you've written it, you picked your starring lead man, woman, whatever, you're set, everything. Now you're in character. That's your self-concept. That's living from the end. That's being that. You are now being that which you claimed. Except you're doing it for pretend in your mind, and then you're just going to walk in that character. That's your character. And you're going to do your best. You don't have to do it 100% of the time, but you're going to do your best to be that person. And you do that with your thoughts. So after your decision is made and your conscious claim established, continue in your confidence until you receive your reward. For as the day follows the night, you will receive that which you have consciously claimed for yourself. This is legit, my friends. This is how you manifest it. This is how it happens. This is how it works. I've done it. I've tested it. And Neville will tell you, test it. And thus, that which to the sleeping orthodox world is a cruel and unjust law becomes to the enlightened the most merciful and just statement of truth. I am come not to destroy, but to fulfill. I am God's name, Jesus Christ's name, your name, right? Who are you? I am. So God comes not to destroy, but to fulfill. Now I want you to listen to this. Knowing that God does not destroy anything, nothing is ever destroyed, because there is no good or bad. That's us making that up. To it that you are that. Claim yourself to be that which you want him to fulfill. So he came to fulfill, but you want to claim yourself, whatever it is that you want him to fill full. You want your cup running over. That's how it gets pushed out. You have to be saturated. So nothing is destroyed. All are fulfilled. And that's literally chapter 5, he who has. So hopefully that just speaks for itself. Get yourself filled full, pressed down and running over. Make a decision to decide who you are, knowing that the 3D around you is going to change. It's malleable. Look around. Every single thing around you was a thought. From like the screw holding your light switch on the wall. Well, someone has to think of it. Right? To your chair, to your sheets, everything. And what does that add up to? Purchases. What does that mean? It's money. It's abundance. It's all around you. Pay attention to that stuff. This next one is great. This just shows you how convoluted. Neville talks all the time about how the scripture was misinterpreted and taken literally. And he actually often laughs that into how absurd this is. So you mean you got to give that man his props. He's out there by himself, coming out in front of people, declaring himself as God and you're God and almost mocking this. And he stuck to it. And he tested it and he made a career out of it. And here we are still talking about it and testing it and seeing that it worked. So the reason I start with that is because chapter 6 is called circumcision. Circumcision is the operation which removes the veil that hides the head of creation. The physical act has nothing to do with the spiritual act. The whole world could be physically circumcised and yet remain unclean, quote, or blind leaders of the blind. The spiritually circumcised have had the veil of darkness removed and know themselves to be Christ and the light of the world. Do you see how ridiculous this is? Let me now perform the spiritual operation on you, the reader. So here we go. Okay, he's gonna spiritually circumcise you. This act is performed on the 8th day after birth. 8, because 8 is the figure that has neither beginning nor end. It's the infinity, right? Furthermore, the ancients symbolized the 8th numeral as an enclosure or veil within and behind which lay buried the mystery of creation. Thus, the secret of the operation on the 8th day is in keeping with the nature of the act, is to reveal the eternal head of creation, that changeless something in which all things begin and remain its eternal self with when all things cease to be. This mysterious something is your awareness of being. At this moment, you are aware of being, but you are aware of being someone. This someone is the veil that hides the being that you really are. He generally calls that your garment, like me knowing myself as I am Heather, or you knowing yourself as I am whoever. That's the garment that God is wearing, right? But underneath this, more consciousness, more awareness. That's what God is. You are first conscious of being. Then you're conscious of being man or woman. After the veil of man is placed upon your faceless self, you become conscious of being a member of a certain race, nation, family, creed, etc. The veil to be lifted in spiritual circumcision is the veil of, that's why it's a spiritual awakening kind of thing. You're realizing, oh, wait a minute, I'm God hidden under this cloak. There's a veil around me. There's a garment. But before this can be done, you must cut away the adhesions of race, nation, family, and so on. Right? You have to let go. You have to touch. You have to, those are different states of mind. I am Italian. I am Hispanic. I am a woman. I am gay. I am straight. I am tall. I am whatever. It doesn't, you're none of those things. You're God. And then wrapped in a garment or veiled by these things, and it has to be removed. We have to detach. In Christ there is neither Greek nor Jew, bond nor free, male nor female. You must leave father, mother, brother, and follow me. To accomplish this, you must stop identifying yourself with these divisions by becoming indifferent to such claims. Indifference is the knife that severs. Feeling is the tie that bonds. When you can look upon man as one grand brotherhood without distinction of race, creed, or color, then you will know that you have severed these adhesions. With the ties cut, all that now separates you from your true being is your belief that you are man. First, you have to separate yourself from all this division with labels, right? And then you have to understand and buy into the fact that you are, in fact, God. And it's not blasphemous. It's not. It's awareness and consciousness. And Neville explains in other teachings that, this was God's plan. And that's the Elohim, which is plural. God is plural because he purposely, think about it, he created everything. Everything was done. Everything was created. Everything was everything. What's left? So he breaks himself off and literally has to forget even that he forgot, right? You can't just pretend. He can't just be acting. He has to literally forget that he forgot and think he's man so that he can live as man and go through all the furnaces of life for expansion. So now you imagine every human here is its own fractal of God, but there's only one God. That's why he's saying it's the brotherhood. And eventually we'll all go through it all and expand until there's tons of new creations, there's tons of new things, there's tons of new ideas. And now you have, think about that, right? So God is experiencing it. That's why it's called, we're in God's dream, right? This is what God is dreaming. And we're among a land of sleepwalkers, Orthodox sleepwalkers who don't know this. So you should be so thankful. I've said it a million times. Be so thankful that you know this and accept it. Unless you have a better offer. That's what I always say. You got a better offer, go for it. But unless you don't, accept it. So to remove this last veil, you must drop your conception of yourself as man by knowing yourself just to be. Instead of consciousness of I am man, let there be just I am faceless, formless awareness. Then, unveiled, an awake you will declare and know that I am is God. And beside me, this awareness, there is no God. That's it. One. So you are in your own world. This is why no one has free will. This is why there are no circumstances. This is why we say Jesus is your salvation. The truth will set you free. All that kind of stuff. The kingdom of heaven is within. All of this makes sense. As within, so without, right? Because when you realize that, and it's just what your awareness is, what is your awareness? Your thoughts. And they're coming from what you can imagine. And if you can imagine it, it's already created, it's already there. And then if it's a desire of yours, it's a desire of whose? I am desiring this. So who is? God. So it's already done. You can't fail. God can't fail. You can't fail. Unless you let go. You can drag it out, but you're not going to fail. This mystery is told in the Bible story of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. It is recorded that Jesus laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself. Then after washing his disciples' feet, he wiped them with the towel wherewith he was girded, right, wrapped around his waist. Peter protested, that's his disciple, and was told that unless his feet were washed, he would have no part of Jesus. So Peter didn't want Jesus to do this. So what are you doing? Right? And he was told, unless I do this, you don't get any part, or you can't be part of this. So Peter replied, Lord, not only my feet, but also my hands and head. And Jesus answered and said, he that is washed needeth not save to wash feet, but is clean every whit. Right? Common sense would tell the reader that a man is not clean all over just because his feet are washed. So he should either discard the story or look for its hidden meaning. Why Neville always says the Bible's a mystery. It's a mystery. It's written as a mystery. Every story in the Bible is a psychological drama taking place in the consciousness of man, and this is no exception. This washing of the disciples' feet is the mystical story of spiritual circumcision, or the revealing of the secrets of the Lord. Jesus is called the Lord. You are told that the Lord's name is I am Jesus. I am the Lord. That is my name. That's Isaiah 42:8. Jesus is girded with a towel, therefore his secrets are hidden. Jesus, or Lord, symbolizes your awareness or being, whose secrets are hidden by the towel, the consciousness of man. That's the towel. The foot symbolizes the understanding. Walk ye in his footsteps. Understanding, which must be washed by the Lord. So awareness of all human beliefs or conceptions of itself, as the towel is removed to dry the feet, the secrets of the Lord are revealed. The foot symbolizes the understanding. Walk ye in his footsteps, understanding, which must be washed by the Lord. The understanding must be washed by the awareness of all human beliefs or conception of itself, as the towel is removed to dry the feet. The secrets of the Lord are revealed. In short, the removing of the belief that you are man reveals your awareness as the head of creation. Man is the foreskin hiding the head of creation. I am the Lord hidden by the veil of man. So there you go. I just circumcised you. Didn't even hurt a bit, did it? And people are doing this, taking it literal. Okay, we're on to crucifixion and resurrection. You see why I'm going through this so quickly? This is chapter 7 already. They're really more just, like I said, like a couple paragraphs. Now, this is important too. All of this, that's why I love this book. And I really, God, I hope you're listening for real. Curious about this. You want to end your misery? You want to be a better manifestor? You want to get the things you want? Then learn the teachings. Invest in that. Invest in yourself. Say yes to you. You're fucking God. The events of the crucifixion and resurrection are so interwoven, they must be explained together, for one determines the other. This mystery is symbolized on earth by the rituals of Good Friday and Easter. You have observed that these days are not fixed, but change from year to year. They fall anywhere from the last week of March to the last week of April. The day is determined in this manner. The first Sunday after the full moon in Aries is celebrated as Easter. Aries begins on the 21st day of March and marks the beginning of spring. This movable date should tell the observant one to look for some interpretation other than the one given him. So seen from Earth, the sun in its northern passage appears at the spring season of the year to cross the imaginary alignment called the equator. Okay? So it is said by the mystic to be crossified or crucified that man might live. They noticed that soon after this event took place, all nature began to rise or resurrect itself from the long winter sleep. Therefore, they concluded that this disturbance of nature at this season of the year was due directly to this crossing. Thus, they believed that the sun, S-O-N, must have shed his blood at the Passover. If these dates mark the death and resurrection of Jesus, they would be fixed like all other historical events, but this is not the case. However, these dates do symbolize the death and resurrection of the Lord, but this Lord is your awareness of being. It is recorded that he gave his life that you may live. I am come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. So what is spring? As spring is a time of the year when millions of seeds, which all winter lay buried in the ground, suddenly spring into visibility that man might live. And because this mystical drama of the crucifixion and the resurrection is in the nature of this yearly change, it is celebrated in the spring season of the year, but actually it is taking place every moment of time. The being that is crucified is our awareness of being. So again, the being that is crucified is our awareness of being. So if I'm in a state and I feel brokenhearted or poor, setting my sight on the cross, that's my mark, right? I want to go. I want to get there. That's why when Peter also tries to interfere when they were a story when they're going to crucify Jesus, Jesus says, "Get ye behind me, Satan. You're a hindrance. I'm heading toward the cross. I'm tired of this state. I'm tired of being broke. There's my cross. There's my point. There's my mark. I'm walking toward it because I'm going to take this broke state and I'm going to go nail it to my new mark, my new state. And I'm going to die and I'm going to be nailed to this until we become one. And I'm resurrected in that new state." See how that works? You have to die to the old state. Nail yourself to the new one. That's brazen impudence. That's persisting. Die to the old. And then when you're finally connected by that feeling, you've been there long enough that you are one, you're resurrected as the new. The being that is crucified is our awareness of being. The cross is your conception of yourself. The resurrection is the lifting into visibility of this conception of yourself. Far from being a day of mourning, Good Friday should be a day of rejoicing, for there can be no resurrection without a crucifixion. The thing to be resurrected in your case is that which you desire to be. To do this, you must feel yourself to be the thing desired. You must feel, I am that, for I am the resurrection and the life. Yes, I am. Your awareness of being is the power resurrecting and making alive that which you are aware of being. Two shall agree on touching anything, and I shall establish it on earth. The two agreeing are you, your awareness, and the thing desired, that which you have desired to be through becoming aware of it. When this agreement is attained, the crucifixion is completed. Two have crossed or crossified each other. I am and that thing desired have joined. I'm now nailed upon the form of that. The nail that binds you upon the cross is the nail of feeling. The mystical marriage is now consummated, and the result will be the birth of a child or the resurrection of a son bearing witness of his Father. Right? That is the whole point. God created us in his image, and we are doing the same thing. And in human life, we do the same thing, right? It's very similar. It has a lot of procreation, sexual sort of connotation. This Jesus is the seed, and it gets implanted in the subconscious, and then out comes this once it's felt and once it's impressed and safely there, it will grow and form, and then it will make its way, and out will come your son, your product, your child. You're made in your image, your mini-me. So consciousness is wedded to that which it is conscious of being. The world of expression is the child confirming this union. And that's why he says too, like in on the start, you know your kid when you see it. So if I've been thinking these things and I've consummated this whole thing and I've planted the seed and I've impressed it, and my thoughts have been thinking crappy things, nobody likes me, nobody wants me around, nobody blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden that starts happening, or, oh, I have no money, I have no measures, I have no joy, I have no anything. And then all of a sudden you don't, or you never gets better, or you do get some money and then your car breaks down or something, right? You get children. That's why. You know your kid. So consciousness is wedded to that which it is conscious of being. The world of expression is the child confirming this union. The day you cease to be conscious of being that which you are now conscious of being, that day your child or expression shall die and return to the bosom of his Father, the faceless, formless awareness. All expressions are the result of such mystical marriages. So the priests are correct when they say all true marriages are made in heaven and can only be dissolved in heaven. But let me clarify this statement by telling you, heaven is not a locality. It's a state of consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is within you. In heaven, consciousness, God is touched by that which he is aware of being. That's why he says, who has touched me? For I perceive virtue has gone out of me. The moment this touching feeling takes place, there is an offspringing or a going out of me into visibility taking place, right? That I perceive the virtue has gone out of me because I was touched. The day man feels, I am free, I am wealthy, I am strong, God, I am, is touched by these qualities or virtues. And the results of such touching will be seen in the birth or resurrection of the qualities felt. For man must have visible confirmation of all that he is conscious of being. Now you will know why man or manifestation is always made in the image of God. Your awareness images and outpictures all that you are aware of being. Okay, so it images and then it outpictures. That's your world. It's what you're imagining and thinking, everything and everyone. That's why it is only you. There's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be worried about. There's no one. It's just you and your voice in your head and what you're thinking, because that consciousness, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. Remember, we are one, and there's only one God. Even though it's fractalized, we don't know. They are imagining those. Our brotherhood is imagining their own. God is dreaming within them. God is dreaming with us. I am the Lord, and beside me there is no other God. I am the resurrection and the life. Chapter 8, No Other God. Thou shalt have no other God besides me. As long as man entertains the belief in powers apart from himself, so long will he rob himself of the being that he is. Every belief in power apart from yourself, whether for good or evil, will become the molds of the graven images you will worship. The belief in this potency of drug to heal, diets to strengthen, monies to secure, are the values or money changers that must be thrown out of the temple. Ye are the temple of the living God, the temple made without hands. It is written, my house shall be called of all nations a house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. Your beliefs in the potency of things are the thieves that rob you. There's only one power, one cause, one Savior. I am He. It is your belief in the thing and not the thing itself that aids you. Okay, so it's not the medication, it's not the other person, it's not the economy, it's not your boss, it's not anything except for you imagining and being aware of and thinking and persisting until it shows up. There is one cause. And we have lived our entire life thinking the exact opposite, that everything is that cause. And we are dealing with the effect. Not true. But our belief, and most of these beliefs were embedded in us since birth. We had no way to know any different. And there's so many of them. That's why our subconscious just holds them. So that's why we have these patterns in our life. But I don't believe in reprogramming. You don't have to reprogram. Neville never talks about reprogramming. He just talks about making a choice. What is it that you want to be? Make a choice. That's your new self-concept. Hold on to that. Persist in that. Walk by faith, not by sight. Deny the evidence of your senses, and it will manifest. That's it. That's it. And that's why also, if you are trying to do this and you don't accept that you are this God, or even if you don't like the word God, he uses awareness, he uses consciousness, he uses love, he uses other words. Just be that. Be the awareness. What is he asking? What are you being asked here? You want the entire life you want? Just be aware of what you're being aware of and then just go for it. Pretend to be this thing and just think about that thing. You're doing it anyway. You're just doing it in the opposite direction. You do it all the time. And it's not easy. That's why it's a very simple recipe, but it's not easy to pull off. And you're certainly not going to be able to pull it off all the time. And sometimes we screw up, right? We lost track of our thoughts, or we didn't realize that we weren't paying attention to what we were paying attention to, or we were paying attention to something we didn't want, and it got up. And all of a sudden it's, what? I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. Now it's never opposite. It's always 100%, but it may be opposite of what we want, but it's always perfect. It's always your kid. But guess what? Since you're always doing it anyway, and you've always been doing it, you know the answer out. Jesus is your salvation. But that's why you have to acknowledge at some point that you are this. And then you can have everything. That's really it. And you're practicing your instrument. Like anything else, it's basically an instrument, and you have to practice it, and especially after a lifetime of thinking the opposite. So that's why you want to be easy with yourself and be easy with others, because there are no others, really. So is you. One cause, it's you. So it's your beliefs in the potency of things that are the thieves that rob you. There is only one power, one Savior. one I am He. It is your belief in the thing and not the thing itself that aids you. Therefore, stop transferring the power that you are to things round about you. Claim yourself to be the power which you have in your ignorance given to another. Okay, so there's no outside, there's no other person. They are not going to make you happy. Yes, you can have and be and enjoy all the things in life, but that's why you give them to yourself, because there's no one else to give them to you until you saturate yourself with the feeling of having that, and then it will be expressed out, pushed out onto the screen of life, and mirrored back to you by some sort of personification that represents that. And then you can enjoy all of that. Yes, life is more fun with a partner. Things are more fun when you can actually touch them. Food tastes better when it's in your mouth as opposed to on a recipe card. Of course. And that's why we have this ability, or one of the reasons why. It is easier for a camel, burdened as he is with the pleasures of life, to go through the needle's eye, which is actually a small gate in the walls of Jerusalem, so named because of its narrowness, than a rich man, the opinionated man filled with his human values, to enter the kingdom of heaven. Man is so filled with human values. That is the riches as to the reasons of things that he cannot, through so dark a veil as the wisdom of man, see that the only reason or value to anything is that all things are expressing perfectly that which they are conscious of being. So when you hear that saying all the time, a lot of people find that there's glory in poverty, or people who have all this money should be ashamed of how they spend it, or evil, or whatever. And so you hear that it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is a rich man, and that gets totally misconstrued, just like everything else, just like the circumcision, just like everything else. But what they're talking about is his opinions and his human values. And if the kingdom of heaven is within, and man is so full of his own reasonings and his own thing and his own thoughts that he can't even see that he is God and there is no other reason, he's the only thing cause, then he's never going to know that he's God. He's robbing himself. He's never going to get into that kingdom of heaven. He's never going to have what he wants. We see that the only reason or value to anything is that all things are expressing perfectly that which they are conscious of being. When man realizes that the consciousness of a quality expresses that quality without the aid of anything else, he will become the poor man, the foolish man, who has no reason for anything happening other than that which is happening, and is perfectly expressing that which it is conscious of being. Such a one has thrown out the money changers, or the many values, and has now established one value consciousness. It's not that you can't have the money, but it's not the money that is making you happy. It's not the money that is making you secure. It's not the money that is making you free. It's not the money that is making you safe. And you don't need it. And you don't need to lift a finger. But we believe it. We believe hard work. We believe you have to work. We believe in statistics, and we believe in all of that. None of it's true. There's one cause, us, and what we think, right? We believe coffee keeps us up. We believe this does this. We believe that does that. It doesn't. Okay. So once such a one has thrown out the money changers, or many values and has now established one value consciousness. The Lord is in his holy temple. Consciousness dwells within that which it is conscious of being. I am, man, is the Lord and his temple. Knowing that the consciousness of wealth produces wealth, as the consciousness of poverty produces poverty. He forgives all men for being what they are. For all are expressing, without the aid of another, that which they are conscious of being. He knows that a change of consciousness will produce a change of expression. So instead of sympathizing with the beggars of life at the temple gate, he declares, silver and gold have I none for thee, but such as I have, the consciousness of freedom, give I unto thee. Stir up the gift within you. Stop begging and claim yourself to be that which you were begging for. Do this and you too will jump from your crippled world into the world of freedom, singing praises to the Lord. I am. Far greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. This cry of everyone who finds his awareness of being to be God. So yell that out. Your recognition of this fact will automatically cleanse the temple of the thieves and robbers and restore you to that dominion over things which you lost the moment you forgot the command, thou shalt have no other God beside me, which is you wrapped in your garment, in your veil, giving cause to other things which there are none. You are a cause. It's your simple thought. You can change everything. Just hear it. That's it. That's literally manifesting. Accept that your awareness. Know that what that awareness is. Focus on. Persist in that. It's going to happen. It's done. God cannot fail. It's in your imagination. If you're able to imagine it, it's there for you. That's everything you need to know. You know that, you can go out and manifest anything you want. Now into chapter 9, thy will be done. Not my will, but thine be done. This resignation is not one of blind fatalism, but it is the illuminated realization that I can of myself do nothing. I'm a garment. I'm like a sweater hanging in the closet when you come home and take off your sweater. Sweater can do nothing without you in it, animating it. So I can of myself do nothing. The Father within me, he doeth the work. When man wills, he attempts to make something appear in time and space, which he knows does not now exist. He is not aware of what it is he's really doing. And this is the problem most of us have, especially in the beginning. Like, we think that we are creating. We think that, okay, something isn't here, a person isn't here, a thing isn't here, money isn't here, car isn't here. And I'm going to just believe that it is and believe that it is and think about it and think about it. And then it's going to just be in my driveway. Or we don't believe that. So we go out and we will and we try to work the extra job, or we don't follow through because we get afraid. So it's, oh, okay, I'll let it go halfway, but then I'm going to push and manipulate and do all that. And by doing 3D actions instead of just hands up. Okay. That's why you don't have to do anything. You really don't. You will be guided. He says you will be put on a bridge of incidents. And you're on it right now. You've always been on it because you're always moving. When man wills, he attempts to make something appear in time and space, which he knows does not exist. He is not aware of what it is he is really doing. But what he actually does is this. He consciously states, I do not possess the capacity to express it now, but I will acquire these capacities in time. In short, I am not, but I will be. Right? Thy will be done. Trickery, right? Man does not realize that consciousness is the Father who does the work. So he attempts to express that which he is not conscious of being. Such struggles are doomed to disappointment, for only the present expresses itself. Unless I am conscious of being that which I seek, I will not find it. God, your awareness is the substance and fullness of all. God's will is the recognition of that which is, not of that which shall be. Instead of seeing this saying as, thy will be done, see it as, thy will be done, is done, right? Thy will be done, see it as, thy will be done. It is done. Okay? The work is finished. The principle by which all things are made visible is eternal, even though eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, neither hath it entered into the hearts of man, the things which God hath prepared for those who love the law. So normally we say, thy will be done. Whatever it is that God wants for me, thy will be done. Like, you go ahead and do that. Instead, he's trying to say, it's done. Thy will be done. It be done. It's done. Now I just have to go in my mind. Think about it, see it, feel connected to it, know it, be connected, feel it, decide, make that decision. It's already done. When a sculptor looks at a formless piece of marble, he sees buried within its formless self his finished piece of art. Okay, so he's looking at this marble, but he already knows what's in it. So the sculptor, instead of making his masterpiece, merely reveals it by removing the part of the marble which hides his conception. Right? He's not chipping away creating. He's chipping away, removing what's hot, what's blocking what's already in there that he sees in his mind's eye. The same applies to you. In the formless awareness, I am, lies buried all that you will ever conceive yourself to be. The recognition of this truth will transform you from that of an unskilled laborer who tries to make it so, to that of a great artist who recognizes it to be so. That's why it seems so, it does seem so cruel. Like you turn your back on this, turn your attention. You don't want to pay attention to the more awareness you're giving to unwanted situations or political situations or all these things or homeless or this or that. Honestly, the more attention you're giving, the more it becomes aware, and the more that happens, the more that it keeps it alive, right? Or we applaud these people who work 3 jobs and they're killing themselves, right? They're literally working themselves to death. They don't have any time and they still never get ahead. And we know the secret, and we can, all we're asked to do is have some faith, believe, and just think, just say yes, just say yes, just say yes. And listen, God, we forget, and sometimes we do get scared, right? We bills due, or we had some dream, or we feel like we lost somebody close to us that we love, or they're never coming back, or it's over. That's not true. It's just not true. And when you test it, you'll see. But sometimes we do forget, and sometimes we do get scared, and sometimes we do panic, and we do resort to some kind of 3D thing because we think this can't be. But that's why you have to take a leap of faith, take a step. If you take that step, you're choosing you. When you choose you, you're choosing God, you're choosing the I amness, and God can't fail, and you're choosing that desire. And you're going to be led to it. Like I said earlier, sometimes that happens, but we've already hurt ourselves, right? We already caused some pain. So it's okay. That's why like emotions are not what he's talking about. You can cause some shit you don't want and then you can cry over it. You got to get back out of it and you got to find a way and you got to, what works for you. I like to meditate. I like to listen to Neville. I like to rest. I like to whatever will get me back into the mode. Over a few days, I'll have my little pity party. I'll have my little thing and I move on. We all go through it. But the good thing is we all know how to get out of it. Let's see, where were we? So the same applies to you. In your formless awareness, I am lies buried all that you will ever conceive yourself to be. The recognition of this truth will transform you from that of an unskilled laborer who tries to make it so to that of a great artist who recognizes it to be so. Right? You're not trying to make anything happen. You're just acknowledging that it already is. Your claim that you are now that which you want to be will remove the veil of human darkness with its I will be and reveal your perfect claim. I am that. God's will was expressed in the words of the widow. It is man's will would have been. It shall be well. To state I shall be well is to say I am ill. God, the eternal now, is not mocked by words or vain repetition. God continually personifies that which is. That's why I'm telling you with these affirmations, that especially the ones that don't necessarily mean anything to you, if they do, if you're feeling unloved, insecure, or not chosen, okay, then, that's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. But just saying that, listening to it endlessly while you sleep, while you walk around, while you're in your car, you're not reprogramming your mind. You want to go in, you want to make the choice, you want to remind yourself when you think about it, you want to take on that role, you want to walk in that character and say, no, this is who I am. And this is how that feels, and this is what it's going to be. And that's a choice I'm making. That's just it. Can be false. Good. It's a false assumption or abuse. I remember when I used to feel like shit, but now I know I'm God. Now I know nothing can stop me. I remember when those days. Then your mind easily goes, oh, it's acknowledging. Yeah. You're not trying to trick me right now. Because your brain will fight back. And that's why people are like, oh, I'm so exhausted. This is not about reprogramming. I don't care what anyone says. It's not about healing. It's just about, you do want to, it definitely serves you to do some inner reflection to say, oh, why do I keep thinking that? Why, even though I know this law, why is it so easy for me to get some money and then doubt it's going to stay, and get some money and doubt it's going to stay, and wait for the other shoe to drop? Or what was I told? What was I told? And this way you can write down a new sentence. No, money is endless. Abundance is everywhere. It's everywhere. Space, air, oxygen, whatever. It's just everywhere. Abundance of everything everywhere. And then that's your new sentence. Oh, there's abundance everywhere. It's everywhere. It can't go away. Nothing is ever destroyed. You start saying that, and at least it gives you some sort of starting place on where your thoughts are going to be. So introspection and a little bit of that is always good to help you realign with what you may be thinking and gives you that new thought. And then you persist in your new thought. But you don't look and try to heal. You'll never get to the bottom of it. Just sit there and think about the past, because then when you focused on the past, and what's going to happen? We already know. The eternal now is not mocked by words or vain repetition. God continually personifies that which is. If I'm going to do I'm jumping right to that other line. I am God. I am God. I am pure love. I am God. I am at cause. I am in charge. I am aware. I know what I'm aware of. And that's what I'm focused on. And that's who I am. I'm love. I'm God. Nobody says no to God. Who would say no to God? Blah, blah, blah. Jump to the head of the line. You're God. Thus, the resignation of Jesus, who made himself equal with God, was turning from the recognition of lack, which the future indicates with I shall be, to the recognition of supply by claiming I am that. So he's turning from the recognition of lack, which the future indicates I shall be, to the recognition of supply and claiming I am. And a lot of people will agree with this or say, you don't have to be that specific. This is Neville. This is whatever. But, this is my point. If you're new, if you're struggling, if you're unable to, if you're not happy with what you've been manifesting, if you are confused by terms, if someone's just throwing out there at you, circumstances don't matter, everyone needs you pushed out, it's only you, whatever, and then someone else, you just say these affirmations and you're going to reprogram your brain and you just keep doing it and do it, or your self-concept is poor or whatever. Okay, it might be at that moment, but it's just a choice. You just decide what you want it to be. And you can say, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I am a millionaire, or that check is coming, or I know that check is coming, or I know this is happening. I know that is happening. I know this is on its way. I know it's done. I know it's going to be here. And that depends on your belief or this and that. What I'm saying is, if you have an exact recipe and you've never made this before, why don't you just stick to the recipe? That's all I'm saying. That's up to you. As you get better and better, your mind, you're already in a better state, and you can easily stay focused and connect to that but I would follow the recipe, the original recipe. That's why I am a big Neville Goddard text and teachings fan. You're going to take the word of somebody on social media and someone that can hop on and just start telling you any old thing and blah, blah, blah. When here's the original recipe and you're not having success, your souffle keeps sinking, follow the fucking recipe. Now you will see the wisdom in the words of the prophet when he stated, let the weak say, I am strong. Joel 3:10. Man in his blindness will not heed the prophet's advice, so he continues to claim himself to be weak, poor, wretched, and all other undesirable expressions from which he is trying to free himself by ignorantly claiming that he will be free from them. That's my point, right? You will not heed. That's where Neville's most profound quote comes from. It is your absolute refusal to believe that which you already are, or that's why you're not singing it. It's your refusal. So stop. There is only one door through which that which you seek can enter the world. When you say, I am, you are declaring yourself to be first person, present tense. Again, to know that I am is to be conscious of being. Consciousness, that is the only door. Therefore, unless you are conscious of being, that which you are declaring yourself to be, you seek in vain. If you judge after appearances, you will continue to be enslaved by the evidence of your senses. To break this hypnotic spell of the senses, you are told, go within and shut the door. Shut the door to the senses. It must be tightly shut before your new claim can be honored. This closing the door of the senses is not as difficult as it first appears to be. It's done without effort. It is impossible to serve two masters at the same time. The master man serves in that which he is conscious of being. I am Lord and Master of that which I am conscious of being. It is no effort for me to conjure poverty if I am conscious of being poor. My servant poverty is compelled, right? Like it is your servant and has no choice. So it is zero effort for me to conjure up poverty if I'm conscious of being poor. My servant poverty is compelled to follow me. Consciousness of poverty. I'll always be conscious. I'll always be aware. I'll always be, I am conscious of being poor, which means it's going to have to express. That's my kid, right? More poorness. So you can turn it around and you're already doing it. It's the same thing. It just takes a little faith because our brains are crazy. We love to believe the negative. Instead of fighting against the evidence of your senses, you simply claim yourself to be that which you desire to be. As your attention is placed on this claim, the door of the senses automatically close against your former master, that which you were conscious of being. As you become lost in the feeling of being this, which you are now claiming yourself to be true of yourself, right? You're claiming yourself this, and you're claiming it is truth of yourself. The door once more opens. But as you have discovered, they permit only the present, that which I am conscious of being, to enter. And you behold your world expressing that which you are conscious of being. Therefore, let us follow the example of Jesus, who, realizing that he could as man do nothing to change his present picture of lack, closed the door to his senses and went to his Father, to whom all things are possible. Having denied the evidence of his senses, he claimed himself to be that which but a moment before his senses told him he was not. Knowing that consciousness expresses its likeness on earth, he remained in that claimed consciousness. He remained in that claimed consciousness until the doors, his senses, opened and confirmed the rulership of the Lord. Remember, I am is Lord of all. Never again use the will of man, which claims I will be. Be as resigned as Jesus and claim I am that. Just do it, just do it, just do it. Test it and do it. And finally, chapter 10, be ears that hear. Let these sayings sink down in your ears, for the Son of Man shall be delivered into the hands of man, but not as those who have eyes and see not, and ears and hear not. Let these revelations sink deep into your ears, for after the Son, the idea, is made manifest, man, with his false values, his reason, will attempt to explain the why and wherefore of the Son's expression, and in doing so will rend him to pieces. After men have agreed that a certain thing is impossible to do, let someone accomplish that impossible thing. And all, including the wise ones who said it could not be done, will begin to tell you why it happened. After they are all through tearing the seamless robe, cause of the manifestation, apart, they will be as far from the truth as they were when they proclaimed it impossible. As long as man looks for the cause of expression in places other than the expressor, he is looking in vain. For thousands of years, man has been told, I am the life and the light of the world. No manifestation cometh unto me, save I draw it. Right? No man come to me, save the Father call him. As he goes on, he says it that way, but it's the same thing. No manifestation, right? Cometh unto me, save I draw it. I am the life. I am the light. I am the only God. It cannot be unless I am aware of it and I pull it out of myself and produce it. But man will not believe it. He prefers to believe in causes outside of himself. The moment that which was not seen becomes seen, man is ready to explain the cause and purpose of its appearance. Thus, the Son of Man, idea of manifestation, is constantly being destroyed by the hands, reasonable explanation or wisdom of man. Now that your awareness is revealed to you as cause of all expression, do not return to the darkness of Egypt with its many gods. There is but one God. The one God is your awareness, and all the inhabitants of earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of earth, and none can stay his hand or say unto him, What doest thou? What doest thou? If the whole world should agree that a thing could not be done, and you became aware of being that which they had agreed upon could not be expressed, you would express it. Your awareness never asks permission to express that which you are aware of being. It does so naturally and without effort, in spite of the wisdom of man and the opposition of the armies of both heaven and earth. People years ago, they'll never fly, we'll never do that. People could literally fly. It's just a matter of time until somebody has enough belief that they think about all of this technology, all of these things, and go back a couple of 100 years only, right? And so think what's coming. Salute no man, by the way, is not a command to be insolent or unfriendly, but a reminder not to recognize a superior, nor to see in anyone a barrier to your expression. Eventually, he calls this like the land of Caesar. And he says, listen, Caesar may be like a king, an emperor, but I'm God. So in this world of Caesar, I don't need your money. I don't need anything. God, I think it was Ed Art I heard, who I love. I should be listening to Ed Art. But he said, you just think of everybody as Caesar. And if it's not you, they're Caesar. And they can never tell you no. And that's again what breeds impudence is. No, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm sorry, I'm God. Salute no man, by the way, is not a command to be insolent or unfriendly, but a reminder not to recognize a superior, nor to see in anyone a barrier to your expression. For none can stay your hand or question your ability to express that which you are conscious of being. Do you hear that repeated again and again and again and again and again? What you are conscious of being will express itself with some persistence and some time. And you just have to hang in there and just keep saying, that's what I am, that's what I am, that's what I am. So do not judge after the appearances of a thing, for all are as nothing in the eyes of God. He does not care. He's not intimidated. He certainly is powerful enough. All creation's done cannot fail. He can't fail. And you're God, so you cannot fail. You can drag it out. You can give up. You can do that kind of stuff. But if you do this, follow this recipe, You cannot fail. You can have anything. It's just a matter of belief, right? How deep is our belief? How deep is our beliefs? But you can work on that. Do not judge after the appearances of a thing, for all are as nothing in the eyes of God. When the disciples, through their judgment of appearances, saw the insane child, they thought it was a more difficult problem to solve than others they had seen, and so they failed to achieve a cure. In judging after appearances, they forgot that all things were possible to God. They were hypnotized to reality of appearances. They could not feel the naturalness of sanity. So the only way for you to avoid such failure is to consistently and constantly bear in mind that your awareness is the almighty, all-wise presence who, without help, effortlessly outpictures. We talked about that. It's just an outpicturing. You're literally imagining everything, from your body to the people to everything. It's what you're thinking is being expressed in personifications of you're literally imagining. And then you can switch that. It's just like a dream. It's like being in a lucid dream now. It's like you were asleep. When you're asleep in your dream and whatever happens, that was life beforehand. Now you're awake. You're having a lucid dream. So now I can move around. I can make choices. I'm still in the dream or the play, but now I get to make choices. What character do I want to play? How do I want to be? Who's in my dream with me? Blah, blah, blah. And I get to decide that with my thoughts and nothing else. So here the disciples forget all this, right? Because they're hypnotized by reality. And so the only way for you to avoid such failures is to constantly and consistently bear in mind that your awareness is the almighty, all-wise presence who without help effortlessly outpictures that which you are aware of being. Be perfectly indifferent to the evidence of your senses so that you may feel the naturalness of your desire, and your desire will be realized. Turn from appearances and feel the naturalness of perfect sanity, and sanity will embody itself. Your desire is the solution of your problem. As the desire is realized, the problem is dissolved. Your desires are the invisible realities which respond only to the commands of God. God commands the invisible to appear by claiming himself to be the thing commanded. He made himself equal with God and found it not robbery to do the works of God. Jesus made himself equal with God and found it not robbery to do the works of God. Now, let this saying sink deep in your ear. Be conscious of being that which you want to appear. The end. Now you know your Father. This book is powerful. It's short. It's repetitive. It is telling you you really don't need anything more once you understand this. But the scripture is riveting. It has so much more in there and so much more faith, and Neville changes over the years. But this doesn't change. What am I now? What is it that I want? Who am I? That's my self-concept. I'm going to persist in this. I'm going to die to my old self, die to that date, persist in the new assumption, have some trust, have some faith, do the best I can, and make that feel as real as possible by stepping into that character, stepping into that role, and just walking that way. And eventually will come up and I will find myself in it. And it's good, bad, or indifferent. And you don't need to do anything else. And there is no outside cause. So there's no one to talk to. There's no one to be mad about. There's no point. That doesn't mean you don't want to have conversations. You want to have fun. You want to enjoy things. Yes, of course. You've manifested that. It's what you're here for, to enjoy things, right? To enjoy the pleasures of your five senses. The law is here to help buffer as you go through the furnaces of life. So, yeah, just have great conversation, have connection, have fun, have great food, have money, go enjoy things, live your life, have the car. You're allowed to have it all and do it all. But understand, you have to be that first. You have to feel that first. You have to feel that joy. You have to feel that love. You have to do it because it's only you. And then if you're aware of being that, it will personify. You hear that? God will become that instantly. You have to just let it form. That's why you have to persist. And everything has been covered in this book, honestly. So I hope you really heard it. If not, listen again. Now let this sink deep in your ear. Be conscious of being that which you want to appear. Amen. All right, guys. I really hope that you got something from it. You apply these basic principles, you can go out and manifest anything you want. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. If you need any further help in understanding this, if you're stuck or if you're just having a hard time, I do have one-on-one coaching. And thank you so much for listening.